Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's Son of a Gun Gourmet. In this video, I'm going to go over how to make a mushroom risotto. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's start cooking. These are the ingredients I'll be working with today. I'm going to start by prepping up all the mushrooms. For the creminis, I'm going to take the stalks off and leave them in a separate bowl, and then I'm going to slice the caps about 1 centimeter thick. You don't want to cut them too thin, you want them to still have a bit of texture after they're cooked. For the shiitakes, again, I'm taking the stalk off, but these ones I'm going to dice. These are a really firm and meaty mushroom. They won't break down like the other ones will. Oyster mushrooms are so soft and delicate that I prefer to tear them rather than cut them, and I'll just make them all into large strands. If they have large stems, reserve them with the others, but if they're smaller oyster mushrooms, then you don't need to. Now let's cook them all off. You want a hot pan with the oil just starting to smoke. Add your mushrooms and let them start to sweat. Add a pinch of salt while you're cooking them down to release the liquid from them, and it'll make them nice and tender. Add a knob of butter and then cook them out until all the liquid's evaporated. Now that the mushrooms are prepped up, we could leave them off to the side and get everything else going. One of the most important things when cooking risotto is that you're adding hot stock to it, so make sure to heat it up in advance. One thing I like to do to boost the flavor is incorporate the ingredients I'm using in the risotto into the stock as well. I bring this up to a boil and then down to a simmer and let the flavors infuse for about 20 minutes before I start cooking the rice. Next thing I'll do is rinse my arborio rice under some cold water. What this does is it gets rid of excess starch that's on the grains, and it will give you a creamier end result. Once it's done, set it aside until you're ready to start cooking it. Next, fine dice 1/4 of an onion. I'll also chop 3 cloves of garlic. Now we're going to heat up our pan to medium-high heat and add some oil. Once it's hot, add your onions and garlic. Sweat them down until they're translucent, and then once they're ready, add your rice. I like to toast my rice until a couple of the grains start to turn the slightest bit brown and they start sticking to the bottom of the pan, and then I'll deglaze. Add 1 cup of white wine and let it cook down. Now I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Always remember to season your food through each cooking stage to add layers of flavor. Now you can see all the white wine has been cooked down and absorbed by the rice, so it's time to start adding some stock. I'll add 8 fluid ounces or 1 cup of chicken stock and let it cook out just like the white wine. One thing to be mindful of when you're cooking risotto is that you don't want to stir it too much. You want to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan, but other than that, just let it cook out and do its thing. So that first cup of stock that I put in has been totally absorbed by the rice, and I'm going to add 1 more cup. On a constant medium-high heat, risotto should take about 18 minutes to fully cook, and we're approaching 15 minutes at this point, so I'm going to check the doneness. Still not quite there, I'm looking for it to just hit al dente. And right as it does, I'm going to add the mushrooms. Thoroughly mix the mushrooms into the pan and make sure that the rice isn't too loose, then take it off the heat. Once it's off the heat, add about a 1/4 cup of diced butter and stir it in. After the butter, using a rasp, add about a 1/2 cup of Parmesan to the rice. Taste it to make sure that the seasoning's alright, and then add more salt or parm if it's needed. Risotto can be tricky, and it's one of those dishes you'll have to make a couple times before you really nail it, but as long as you follow these steps, you should do just fine. And to finish it on the plate, what's better to garnish it with than a bit more grated parm? I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and keep on cooking.